Hey, how's it going, everyone? Just back in with another sequence video. So I just came across this one after listening to one of Fear of the Lord's lessons. So I didn't catch this one when I went through it first time. So I'll add it to the collection here. Habakkuk 3, 1-12. Starting in verse 1, a prayer of Habakkuk the prophet upon Shigionoth. So Habakkuk is very likely here on earth somewhere in the last days. And then he would, of course, be part of the elect. And then he would have this happen to him as well. In verse 2, O Lord, I have heard thy speech. So in the last days, this is referring to the elect being sealed and was afraid. So then there would be wrath coming. O Lord, revive thy work in the midst of the years. In the midst of the years, make known. In wrath, remember mercy. Okay, so this group is exempt from wrath. Okay, and so they will receive salvation. And then they were sealed in the last days. Now we have a reference to salvation. Habakkuk 3:3. Again, this is in 33, which oftentimes is where the verse is positioned to represent Christ's second coming. God came from Teman, and the Holy One from the Mount Paran, Selah. His glory covered the heavens, and the earth was full of his praise. So when Christ returns in the sky, he's going to be returning with his two witnesses on his left and right hand side, and a whole host of angels covering the heavens. That's why it says here, his glory covered the heavens. Okay, so in the last days, this is referring to his second coming. And the earth will be full of praise because his elect is scattered across four corners of the earth. Now, verse 4, and his brightness was as the light. He had horns coming out of his hand. So what this is symbolic of, whenever we think of an animal having horns, we think of two horns. And this is representative of the two witnesses, because he's going to be giving power to those two horns. And horns in the Bible, just generally speaking, when it's talking about a beast that has horns and all that, represent power structures, okay, or power. And there was the hiding of his power. So it's going to be in these two men in the last days, okay, Moses and Elijah. And so that's talking about the period of the Great Tribulation. Next, in verse 5, Christ returns with his elect for the battle in the Middle East. Verse 5, before him went pestilence, and burning coals went forth at his feet. So when Christ reappears in the sky with all the angels and the elect, according to 1 Thessalonians 3:13, he's going to be destroying in the sky. And so it's literal. He's going to have burning coals going from his feet. So these UFOs are going to be able to administer heat. And so he'll be in his judgment seat in one of these massive UFOs. And then these burning coals, which is going to be administering the fire that's going to destroy body and soul, it's symbolically leaving his feet, it's emanating from this quote unquote UFO. And Habakkuk 3 verse 6, again 6:6. He stood and measured the earth. He beheld and drove asunder the nations, and the everlasting mountains were scattered. The perpetual hills did bow. His ways are everlasting. So the everlasting mountains were scattered. Mountains in the last days represent power structures, okay? He drove asunder the nations. So now he's fighting against them. That's why that's in 3:6. Verse 7, I saw the tents of Cushan in affliction, and the curtains of the land of Midian did tremble. So now he's destroying everybody, and it's beginning in the Middle East. Verse 8, was the Lord displeased against the rivers, and thine anger against the rivers, and was I wrath against the sea? And thou didst ride upon thine horses and thy chariots of salvation. So again, he's in these UFOs. And then they're saying here, like, did you have a problem with the rivers and the sea? Because God's destroying everything. Okay, verse 9, thy bow was made quite naked, according to the oaths of the tribes, even thy word, Selah. Thou didst cleave the earth with rivers. Verse 10, the mountains saw thee and they trembled. Mountains represent power structures. The overflowing of the water passed by. The deep uttered his voice and lifted up his hands on high. Verse 11, the sun and moon stood still in their habitation. At the light of thine arrows they went out, and at the shining of thy glittering spear. So this is again out of these UFOs. That's how God's going to be destroying. Verse 12, thou didst march through the land in indignation. Thou did thresh the heathen in anger. That's in 3:12, 3 times 12, 36, 66, 66. So this is God cleaning up his entire left-hand side. So Habakkuk 3, 1-12 also has the sequence. And I believe I have a past video where starting at verse 13 onwards, it loops over it again. So again, all the prophets, the whole Bible at this point, it's clear. Even the Apocrypha is looping over the sequence over and over again. Hope everyone's doing well. Take care. Bye.